So, good afternoon, everyone. Today I want to go about some contemporary issues that we are faced with in terms of solving some problems, jurisprudential problems or social problems. The scholars are expected to put their hands on some hot topics and give some decisive answers to the questions. Actually, throughout the history, there has been a problem in terms of knowledge, how to produce the knowledge, what is the role of ulama in terms of solving their problems. I want this section to be a little bit interactive one, inshallah. And actually, even if I will describe some tendencies of ulama or approaches of ulama or intellectuals, maybe I will find some difficulty in naming them, how I'm gonna give the exact name to these different approaches. So in that part especially, you can share your contributions. My topic is today, we'll be concentrating on the fatwa. Fatwa is coming from the word, from the same root with al-fata in Arabic. Many people, or most of the people who are concerned with these issues, not very aware of this fact. So what is the relationship between al-fatwa and al-futuwa, al-fata? The person who is posing a question is in a situation or a case of weakness. Okay, I'm clueless. I need some extra support from you. So when I get your answer, I'm empowering myself. I'm becoming more stronger. So it's a very important detail that we have to know. Actually, that word came up in the Quranic context. Yusuf alayhi salam, when he was asked by the people of the Malik, the king in Egypt, they said, Yusufu, ayyuha siddiqu, Yusuf, dear Yusuf, the trustworthy man, aftina fi sab'i baqaratin simanin ya'kuluhunna sab'an ijaf. They are asking about 7 weak cows or bulls whatsoever. Actually, I remember another conversation in Quranic context, which is talking about a kind of like debate about the people of Kahf. How many people were they? They are yastaftunaka. They are asking a question to you. So we have the word fatwa in the first century of Islam. It is not a term that was invented in the upcoming stages of Islamic history. So the methodological question in terms of fatwa here, the first question that we can put here is that, was the Prophet himself a mufti? Did he give him a fatwa? Because we know that the fatwa is something given based on your intellectual capacity. So you are thinking, making like a reasoning, and going over some different details, like if there is naskh or mansukh or takhsis or illa and so on. It's a technical process. The Prophet used or go through this technical process, or just he had a notion or answer which is given to him, okay, a blessed answer, a sacred answer, an unimpeachable one, and he is giving that fixed answer to the people. Actually, this question leads to a very contemporary debate that we are having now. What is the role of Prophet? What was the role of his this statement or sayings, or approval or disapproval, gestures, and so on? Some people are saying, of course, he was depending in everything he did or said on a wahi, because the Quranic verse is crystal clear in its meaning, which is وَمَا لَا يَنْطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ. So the Prophet is not talking out of his desire, but the thing he said is just something revealed to him. لا ينطق عن الهوى. The first thing that catches my attention here, the stress is on نطق. لا ينطق. He is not speaking. So what about his acts? So are we going to say like this? Prophet in his speeches talked in accordance with an wahi, but in terms of his actions or deeds or فعلs, in Arabic, فعل. So he was free of any kind of fatwa or any kind of like control or divine control. Is that true? Actually, this Quranic verse was revealed in the very early stages of the wahi process, in such a time that there was no slightest debate about the true nature of the prophet's sayings. We have that problem now. The prophet's sayings, especially throughout the methodology history, the history of methodology, we ask this question: what was the true nature of the prophet's sayings? Wahi or not? Wahi matlub or not? But in that time, there was no such a debate. But all the debate was about the nature of the Quran itself. And the parties to the debate were the Muslims, the Prophet, and the people who are rejecting this wahi. And Quran said, your friend, your companion, which is Prophet, not a sane person, not a poet, neither listening all this stuff from any other person, but the thing he's been saying to you is just something given to him. Okay? So it is not something invented by himself. So that's the point that Quranic verse wanted to bring out in front of us. Actually, an Quranic interpretation of Quran is a disaster, I think. And we're faced with that phenomena very often. So I think that when I want to understand the Quran, in my perspective, we have to understand the text within its context, first of all. What did Quran say to that person in that very particular moment? Okay, what was the function of that word? Of course, we can give some new functions to that word. or the verse. We can the Quranic verse can gain or earn some new meanings in some historical context, political or ideological, and so on. That's what Ali Karramallahu Wajhah point out when he heard the Kharijis. He said, your thesis, your wording is okay, but your purpose that you are meaning by this word is wrong. كلمة حق أريد بها الباطل. A true word, okay, your word is okay, because they said لا حكم إلا لله, right? لا حكم إلا, that's true. As a slogan, as a political slogan that you want to distort its meaning to some like political agenda, your goals are not justified. Okay, so I think that the Prophet's position in terms of what he said or did, there are three approaches. First one, they say everything contributed to Prophet was wahi. Okay, I'm just keeping silent. I'm 100% passively, I'm gonna listen to his position, his highly, or his position. Let me say, yeah. This another maybe extreme. On the other hand, on the other end of this debate or this spectrum, some scholars, especially in the modern times, they say, no, Prophet's sayings are just his very personal interpretations or understanding. Of course, he was not any other jurist or scholar, because he has some another experience out of his treatment with wahi and so on. Of course, he's not like you or me, but in terms of producing the answer, he just followed the same methodology like me or you. So we will respect his sayings or the actions, but without considering it as a wahi. The second thing. Actually, I like to mention here the Hanafi approach, not because we are Hanafi predominant in Turkey, but due to its importance and its kind of like clear answer to the subject and opening like ways or doors in front of us. And Hanafi scholars are saying, Prophet, when he was asked a question, first of all, he was waiting for wahi, not getting hurry at giving like a speedy question, a speedy answer. After waiting for a while, if he sees no wahi came, and the subject is so urgent, requires an answer, he was giving his response to the question in terms of what, or in accordance with his prior understanding of Quran, because he has already a knowledge of Quran, he has already knowledge of like a deep knowledge about Islam. So he is just giving his answer according to what he has already known. Okay. But another point is coming right over here. Different from other scholars, when he actually in this process, he was the whole process open for fault or right. But one thing is that Prophet is not left without correcting if he made any fault, any mistake. So Allah or God will not him approve, okay, of what he said if it's wrong. So he will correct him. So the question or the final stage is that if the Prophet is giving an answer, he is the answer of the religion. But as the modern people, we have another problem. Actually, I don't have any prophetic talk now, any prophetic word, any prophetic sentence now. But we have things claimed to be the Prophet's sentences, right? If we were companions of Prophet, and I'm hearing him something, he's saying something, in such a case, I have no choice other than listening to him. When Prophet made a decision, Allahu wa Rasuluhu, and there is no choice for the Muslims or Mu'mins about them. There is no have any khiyar, no choice. Okay. But I'm here now. I'm cut from the original age, the golden age. So I have now, all I have, some narratives. So the narratives are just a kind of like cover. Inside this cover, we are seeking for the core, which is the Prophet's guidance, right? Hadi. Okay, so I need to use some techniques because I'm not directly faced, or I didn't hear the Prophet directly. If I heard him as a companion, even if the rest of Muslims are saying something else, I will follow what I heard, without thinking if the hadith is khabar al-wahid or these people are mutawatirun or no. Actually, in our practice, some people are putting their hands like this in the prayer, and some are like this, and some are doing hands out. I believe that maybe some people will think like this. One of these acts is true, because the prayer must be a standard one, okay? Because it's not a game. So some people are misled by some hadith or narratives or ijtihadas or explanation and so on. But we believe that the Prophet just did the same thing. No, I think that one companion comes to Prophet and sees him, for example, putting his hand like this, okay? So you can persuade him at all that Prophet did something else any other time. No, because I saw him. And I went to Kufa, for example. With that knowledge, I will apply my very personal experience, and I will narrate or relate my first-hand experience, not yours that I heard from somebody and he's heard somebody else and else chain. No. But we know that there are some different practices. And I figure out and I come to end that if the scholars of hadith are saying that this hadith is sahih, and this hadith is sahih, and this hadith is sahih, they are all meeting the same criteria. Okay, I come to a conclusion that so the Prophet did all this stuff. Okay, so even throughout the 23 years of like a wahi process, there has been a diversity in his attitudes. Okay, maybe the Muslim people don't want to, or they are looking into that topic not very sympathetically, because the improvement and change in the truth is not very imaginable, because the truth is something like massive and something unchangeable. Truth is truth, the same thing, wahid. And the truth is not the changeable thing, no. It is not about the truth, but it is about improvement. And the wahi process itself, the Quran was not given in all at once, but there was a change and so on. And very interesting example. Maybe you have heard of the hadith which is saying, if anybody passes by you, in front of you while you are praying, فَقَاتِلُوهُ. Okay, you're going to skirmish with them. You're going to get in a fight. And qatilu is not about any ordinary fight. But in the end of the qital, what's that? Qatl. So it can be ending with qatl. End up with qatl, yani. So it's a very serious fight, yeah. But the question is, the theological question is that there is an amal al-kathir in the prayer that spoils your prayer. If you are combing your hair and you're doing a lot of things during the prayer, they say this is amal al-kathir. You did a lot of things. Actually, scholars try to bring some criteria about what's amal al-kathir. Some scholars said, when I take a look at you as an outsider, I think that you are out of prayer. Okay, this man is not praying. If I'm saying like this, they said it's amal al-kathir. And some scholars have given very specific standards, like in every unit, okay, like in sajda or in qawma, in the standing up position, if you did three things, like this, first and second and three, pull the trousers up, okay, they say it's three, so three is amal kathir. Okay, the details is long. But in terms of this hadith, I'm gonna fight with somebody while I'm praying and without doing an amal al-kathir. How come? And the answer is that, from the scholars, they said in the very early beginning, in the very early stages of Islam, amal al-kathir was permissible during the prayer. So you can do something. Look, maybe you attend some meetings, some rally in gatherings and so on. The principles of joining in a gathering, what? You're the first unit, or the first principle, you come together and you are shouting. Maybe you can take your baby, sit on your shoulder, okay? But there are some common things. But you are free in terms of your shaking hands or turning your head. But within time, maybe you can restrict, you can bring more strict rules. While people are getting used to new stuff, that there is a prayer and the rules are coming, tightening and so on. So the Prophet's approach in terms of the fatwa issues, I think there is a very humane perspective of himself, but the person that we are talking about, not an ordinary person. And himself, the Prophet, actually we didn't understand his position, I think. Maybe you will find it exaggerated, but exaggeration is permissible in such an environment to make a strong point on the issue. I think that the Prophet's position was much more important than the Quran in the first stage. Yeah. while he was alive. Now we are putting another hierarchy and designing another hierarchy. We are saying that's Quran first, the sources. Okay? The second is hadith, then ijma and so on. Actually, imagine yourself. We are living here and Prophet is just here. Can you put an hujjah, an evidence against Prophet by saying, no, Quran says like, no. Whatever Prophet says, that's the thing that we have to follow. That's it. Because even the Quran was given to us through the Prophet himself. So the Prophet was the thing, the very important connection, the contact between you and the divine. Now, we don't have that very representative source of Islam. We are putting instead of Prophet some narratives. Narratives are something finished. And in a meaning that, because you can't change them, like fixed stuff, you know. But Prophet was alive, like a dynamic source. You can ask him. Maybe he will keep silent, and maybe he will take position. Maybe he's gonna ask for wahi, right? So even the Quran was dynamic, because people, we heard that the companion of Prophet was fearing, or were fearing that any wahi can come down about themselves. When he or she made something wrong, he or she was fearful or afraid of that anything comes about this specific situation of himself or herself. So it was a dynamic. But after the first century, after the demise of our Prophet, we have a new paradigm. Quran is not dynamic, but the fixed, finished, like image, like in the computer science, like image. You can not touch on it. And the Prophet's position, due to it was dynamic in the first era, when he was the Prophet alive, nobody recorded it, because the process is dynamic. If the process is dynamic, you wouldn't record it, because the process is not finished. But after the demise of Prophet, people said, hey, there was a source, there was a reference from the Prophet, we have to put them in the writing and records and so on. A new problem. So, in terms of the fatwa and Prophet, I think that Prophet's fatwa was like a human, or not neglecting the humanly property, but in the end, he was the prophet of the God. He was corrected. Okay. Very important topic, actually, I should mention. Some people are saying that, brother, wahi is Quran, and Quran is wahi. Okay? There is no any third area out of these two things. When we are talking about wahi, we are talking about Quran, the same thing, and Quran is wahi. What about the Sunnah? Sunnah is just his practice. Okay? But some people are saying wahi is both. Quran plus Sunnah, both of them are wahi. I think that's true, is wrong. From my perspective, wahi is a device. Wahi in Arabic, ilqa الشيء, you're throwing something بشكل خفي. You're secretly, okay? You're secretly, like secretly, we cannot see this movement from point A to B, okay? Like we are using electronic devices and sending messages out of Bluetooth and so on. Even if you're sending a message from WhatsApp to your friend, I don't see that. Okay, something is going there. And we can't understand the quality or quantity of this process. Okay. Wahy is, please, the way of communication. The way of communication. Not the thing that happened in that communication. Not the thing that was said or was given in that communication. Wahy is just, okay, actually, like a phone call. The phone call is coming, but the message is a result of this communication. The Quran is not wahy, but Quran is something has arrived to us through this device. Like a telephone, what's that, a cable between you and me. Okay? We are talking on the phone. This technology, these mechanisms or this device is wahy. And Allah has given this privilege to one person. I can talk to you, okay? I'm opening this service to you. We can use this service. Of course, he's the starter, so he's the boss here. He's the side that starts to talk. Okay, he's defining the subject, of course. But this person, who is a prophet, when he receives some things, in order to convey or pass it along with the people, his people, because he was ordered to do that, yes. But in some other times, maybe he's giving something, okay, in off days, okay? Not in the daytime, in a very private issue, in a very secret, in a very personal subject. He's benefiting from this connection, I think. Even we have a lot of hadiths that one angel comes to prophet. So this angel is just going on a picnic, just he wants to stop by the prophet and see him. No, he was sent. If you believe in the whole religion, I think you have to put all these findings in their places. So prophet was standing in the end of this communication device, but some of the things that he has from the source, the divine source, he was obliged to give them to the people without giving some others because there were some personal issues. Okay, that's the fatwa issues. The second thing, when we came up to some upcoming stages of Islamic history, we are faced with some very impacting, influencing big hot topics. Because while you are living in a limited area, we are all companions of Prophet. And our children, they are successors. Okay? What are the problems that may happen on a daily basis? We have that kind of drink here, made out of a fruit, a particular fruit. So that's our drink, traditional drink. We don't have like a Coke and soda and other things. We have limited menu in terms of food or so on. So what is the problem that happened? Maybe one fly can fall in. What fly? The fly that is living in the area. So that's the problem. actually the same problem can repeat itself. Another time, in the house of another person, the same kind of fly can fall in the same kind of drain. So the answer is clear. Because if you don't heard or if you don't know this answer, the other person or the other person next to him or the other person next to him would be knowing this answer. So when I say قال, I'm solving a problem. قال رسول الله, I'm saying just قال رسول الله, قال أبو بكر في هذا الموضوع. I'm solving my problem. But actually, Arab people, actually even before the Islam, they were dependent on two types of intellectual sources. The first one was poetry. Okay. The second one is أخبار. What's the أخبار in Arabic? Like history or stories. But this story is just not any ordinary story, but the wisdom. So if you are such a powerful guy, okay, like a knowledgeable one, you have to know these two types of things. If you have in your memory like 1,000 or some hundreds of poems, that makes you okay. And you have, for example, my son is asking a lot of questions to me. So I'm answering to him out of my educational background. What was the education? Was there any organized education? I don't think so. So you have to know something. If you have a lot of narratives in your ears, that's okay. So let's say something happened here. While I'm talking, I touched this stuff and fell down. If I can read a very interesting prose of, or a bait or sha'r, something, so I'm making this very ordinary incident meaningful. Okay? So I'm interpreting this stuff. Okay? One man comes out of his tent upon an invitation came to him to attend some, I don't know, like maybe ceremony or something like that. When he goes out, he sees two sticks, stick like this, okay? Maybe two swords, okay? And one tamr like dates, okay? So he reads that situation. This is la, and tamur, la tamur. La tamur means don't go away. Don't pass this place. So he recited the poem about this situation and he made his day. Okay? That was the wisdom. And in Islam, there is a fight between Quran and Islam and poets. Why? Because there was a fight over authority. Your mind or mindset was full of that kind of wisdom connected with the previous culture and the very powerful words. Now you have another so powerful type of words, which is Quran. The second thing, they were talking about Zulfijar and so on, the histories and so on, okay? Hadith. This akhbar is not just talking about the prides of their ancestors and so on. That's very beneficial, to the point answers. That's so important. In order to understand their mindset, we have to read all this process. Maybe we are tending to understand everything out of a Big Bang theory. One would say that, what's all this rubbishes? Just happened something, prophet and wisdom and religion. Why are you talking about the things that happen prior to Wahy? And we are neglecting the process. The idea of process is disturbing us. No, it's so important, because human being is not understand except for the frame of the process. Even take yourself, okay? You're gonna see in your life the process. If there is no process, there is no life. The living being, the creation is just a whole process. So if you want to understand Islam, you have to understand the phenomenon of the process. Okay, so in the first century, the central Muslim lands is very well remarked. Okay, Mecca, Medina, al-Hijaz, and you're solving your problem by repeating the same old answer, by just narrating that. قال رسول الله. But when you go to the periphery area, like Kufa is a very symbolic one. Kufa is a city located in the shores, the seashore. Okay, when you embark in a ship, you can find yourself in India, in your countries, Bangladesh, right? Or from Bangladesh to Kufa. Languages, practices, transactions, contracts, and the items and products are all different. Okay? We in the Mecca or Medina, we have learned everything. Okay, digesting, drop by drop. Okay? So the connection or the relationship that Prophet established between myself and my language and my culture is so vibrant and so powerful. But if you go there, to Damascus, to Egypt, and to the other centers of not Islamic lands, but even non-Muslim lands, you know, the cultures, the race are different. So you can find your answer in the narrative. When somebody says, قال رسول الله, okay, قال رسول الله, okay, that's okay, but I can't find my answer in that narrative. So you have to think. You have to use your ijtihad. Another problem, here in Mecca, there is a very strong self-control. Nobody can invent or fabricate an akhbar about Prophet, because you will correct me. Intellectually or physically, correct me, like Omar. I'll correct you. Okay? So there isn't like a social control. But when you go to Iraq, for example, Imam Malik said about Iraq is Daru Darb al-Hadith. Daru Darb al-Hadith, what's the name of the place that we are, a mission house? Currency, we are emitting currency, or we are... Forgery is a negative word, not the official. What's that? What's the institution that issuing the money or currency? Treasure. Okay, Dar Hadith, that kind of institution. They are making forgery of hadith. Okay, Iraq, Daru the house of darb al-hadith. They are darbing a hadith. They are inventing, impostery, something. Okay, fabricating hadith. Okay. Why? Because there are some new Muslims in name, not in quality, but they want to go on their previous habits, so they are just inventing something. And the scholars are saying, brother, if you are saying that there is a hadith which is unknown to the people of Medina, that's categorically wrong. But you are saying, no, this man is ismuhu, his name is a Muslim man, is like this, he's a very decent man, and other man is. So why are you putting some suspicions around this guy? No, categorically, because if you're all knowing something and narrating something, but we don't, that's categorically wrong. So problems. In such an atmosphere, a new incident or a new thing happens, which is new problems occur, unprecedented issues emerge, and people or the scholars are hesitating at giving this, at handling these problems. And these kind of things are called nawazil. What's the nawazil? Nazila, and things comes down. Nazala, and nazila, which is anything comes down surprisingly and suddenly and instantly. Like the problems, just as the problems are occurring in a second, and we are faced with it, and we are asking, what is it? What is the solution? And nazila is that kind of a new problem, unprecedented incidents. Yeah. So in such cases, people started to think over. So that's the ijtihad is forcing itself. Okay. So let's jump over to the contemporary times after this introduction. Actually, in the past, there were some sects or schools of law that we can describe the situation, the literature, or that we can identify ourselves with. You are Hanafi, you are Shafi'i. Okay, your solution, your practice is very connected with that tradition and that tradition. Okay. Actually, I wrote an article in Turkish about these four madhab and how they were crystallized in my understanding, in one understanding. Actually, this four madhab is not four. They are all the same. They are all the same. Actually, the same kind of differences, for example, between Malik and Hanafi, you can find exactly the same kind of difference in one madhab. In Hanafi school, for example, Imam says in his the sahiban, his two friends are saying like this, and the mutaqaddimun ulama, they are saying like this, and the mutaakhirun said like that, but muftabih, the essential in the fatwa is that one, but the rajih is sometimes, but ikhtiyar fulan is something like this, like a whole range of menu. Okay, there are differences. So this difference, you can find it even within the one madhab. Okay, so there is no any excommunication out of the madhabi or the jurisprudential sects in the history. Even between Shia and Sunnah, the fiqh is very same. Maybe there are very symbolic things that you can find and pick, okay? That you can say they are not washing their feet, or they are doing something like a mut'a and so on. But actually, I can confirm that. I can show you some very similar examples even in the Sunni fiqh. Okay, I don't want to distract you, but I can give some examples. So the technical process is very same in fiqh. But in modern times here, I think that these four madhab, even not the madhabs of jurisprudence, by the madhab of aqidah as well, they don't have the functions which they had in the past in the contemporary times. Because when you say I'm Ash'ari, okay, what makes you Ash'ari? We are Maturidi, but I learned it just last year. Okay? So, what makes you Ash'ari or Maturidi? But let me tell you that there is another paradigm that we are using to identify ourselves with. So I'm going to talk about like 4 or 5 approaches. I'm calling them approaches. So we are belonging to each of or one of these 4 or 5 approaches, which are not Hanafi, not Ash'ari, not Salafi, not so on. Not a new thing. The first one is, I think, I'm calling them, maybe you can bring or come up with some other namings. Traditionalists. Traditionalists. Yes, traditionalists are thinking that actually these traditionalists, there are a lot of shades of this traditionalist. Some people are strict, hardliner, and super traditionalist, and Salafi something, and Salafism mild something. There are a lot of, like in 1 meter, there are a lot of centimeters, okay? And it's such a wide spectrum, but I'm just saying roughly there are 1 stations. I'm just talking about the main stations of this whole process or spectrum. So hardliners, excuse me, let me say, I don't want to pick one of this stuff, just I'm gonna try to describe them, maybe as an outsider, okay? So I'm gonna use the terminology of the outsider sometimes. Hardliner is in kind of like, you know, you're saying tacitly that is not something good. Hardliner, because it's super traditionalist. Please don't stuck with the terminology. Just excuse me with my weak descriptions and so on. So the first camp or category is hardliners, or the super traditionalists. They are saying, brother, there is no any problem in Quran and Hadith and the practice of Muslim and the historical tradition, in the historical culture. We don't have any problem. The problem is just in your mind, because your mind has been sick under the influence or the effects of this modernity and so on. Okay? But when you're saying, hey, in your culture, there are some implementations which are going against the very common sensibilities or values, like you are cutting hand, you are getting 4 wives, and their domestic violence, and the husband's position, and so on, and and the separation between man and woman, and relegating the women to the back, and so on. They are talking about such a thing, and you're just saying, no, no, no. These are like the medicine. Medicine's taste is not good, but it is beneficial to you. Because of your hawa, your desire, maybe you think that these things are not good, but God Almighty knows us better than us. So if He said, you can beat your wife in some very specific condition, so it means that that's okay, that's good. Okay. If the share of a woman and the inheritance is one, and while the man or the male side or the members are getting two shares, right? That's okay, because there was a system, blah, blah, and so on. You can explain this and you don't see any problem with that. Just you're seeing the problem with the new mindset, comes from modernity, and so on. Actually, the second, maybe, so they are saying, they are saying, we have to apply the Sharia precisely. Okay, Khalifa, Khalifa, Imama, Imama, Jallabiya, Jallabiya, Hadith, Hadith. Okay, eating with hand, eating with hand. Urine of the camels and so on, it's okay, no problem. Okay. The second, I think, camp, which is attached to that one, but they are not very happy with all this strict perspective. So they are, in terms of, on a level of discourse, they are not fighting with this group, but in the practice, they are melting some stuff down. And they are finding some alternative ways without fighting with the whole Muslim community. And they are saying, and actually I see the second camp working with, running with the compliments all the time. They don't want to come to the topic, hot topic, just they are talking. For example, when you're asking, what about women? They are saying, women is the most precious thing in the world. They are our mothers. Okay, brother. They are our mothers, okay. What about the shares and so on? They are saying, they are more precious than, okay, I want to talk about the hot topics. They are just running away. Musa Jarullah is a very famous scholar. I love him, but everybody can have some mistakes or the points that you are not sharing with. And he says in a point, actually maybe he got out of control in one point, he says, the blood of menstruation, okay, regular, so on, of the women is more valuable or precious than the martyrs' blood. Because hadn't it been, if there is no any blood of menstruation, you won't be created, the human being. So the continuation of the progeny is depending on that issue. So that's why it's so, okay, I know that you want to pamper some, okay, the ladies and you want to put a very interesting topic in discourse, but that's not okay. Because there are 4 wives issue, for example. Please address that topic. They're just going far away. Okay. And in a debate about historicism, the second camp, even if they are against the historicism, but in the practice, they are not playing or applying very the hardliner perspective. Okay. Actually, let me say, what about the cutting hands? They say, yeah, on a theological level, on a creed level, Quran said like this. But under this speech or discourse, they are not applying it. And they say, for example, I think you heard that. Yeah, in the Quran, there is had punishments in terms of like robbery and burglary and so on. But in order to apply this punishment, there are 1,000 and thousands conditions. It's impossible to meet all these conditions. One will be caught red-handed. The thing that he has stolen might be prized and so on. And this man will not affiliated with that family. There is no any connection, not partnership and so on, and or they are not relatives to each other. And if like this, and if, for example, in the zina, al-rajm is a symbolic value, is like symbolically, we can see that they are not against rajm, stoning, on a theological level. But in terms of application, they are saying, for example, in an empire, like a Muslim empire, like Ottomans or Abbasids and so on, we have just very few, like 1-2 incidents that this punishment was applied. Just 3 or 5 zina happened. That's great. Because they don't want to apply it. So they are using this stuff as a symbolic thing, which we are putting it in our minds. It's a evil, but in the practice we don't use. Actually, the first camp don't want to put a big gap between scripture and the practice, and they are saying, look at this man, he is like an homosexual, throw him down. It's between application and the slogan or the rule, there is no gap. There is no technicality. There is no judiciary, adjudication, and so on. Okay? Okay, we come. This is a kind of like tradition wing, which is, it has 2 segments. Let's go to the camp 3 or category 3. I think I'm naming them dictionary holders. Okay, a little bit fun. Dictionary holders are just have a dictionary. Okay, when you say there is a Quran and فَضْرِبُوهُنَّ, they are looking up and for the daraba, and they say, okay, daraba has 150 meanings. Okay, I'm picking this one. Okay. وَكَوَاعِبَ أَتْرَابًا. وَكَوَاعِبَ, in the paradise, there is a promise. Okay. لِلْمُتَّقِينَ, those people who are like a trustworthy people or like fearful of, and people who have fear of God. Yeah. إن للمتقين مفازا وحدائق أعنابا وكواعب أترابا. وكواعب أترابا, actually, كوعب. What's a كوعب? Kaaba, it comes from the Kaaba. Anything shaped, well shaped. The Kaaba is not like any, anything which is, but it is shape is so sharp in the edge and so on. And the human being, Kaw'ab, who is the body shapes are clear, and in terms of the women, it means that they're physically beautiful women. Okay, and more specifically, some scholars talked about their breasts are like this and so on. Okay, but this is going against the feminism. Like a woman is given to a man as a gift. Okay, Okay, that's good, but why women are not getting their gifts? Okay, let's grab our lovely dictionary. Maybe this meaning is better. Actually, this interpretation is not made through the Arabic language possibilities, lingual possibilities, but the dictionary possibilities. Actually, I don't say it as sincere and honest. Actually, my perspective is that whether I'm Muslim or not, I have such a book. I don't know, it's maybe Bible, I don't know, maybe it's a tablet of Moses, I don't know. And I'm a scholar, or I'm a human being. Just I want to learn what it's saying here. If he said something embarrassing me or you, or making me proud or you, it's not important. What it said, it's an archaeological approach. When you're an archaeologist and coming to the site, okay, and you're seeing this stuff, okay, so you're saying they had such a technology to do this glass, to produce this glass. That's an interpretation. But I'm seeing this one, but I'm saying, okay, if they can produce such a thing, maybe they invented the cell phones. That's qiyas. Or sometimes I'm bringing my stuff that I believe that it must be found here. I'm bringing the thing and dragging it and putting it here. It's not okay. Or I'm cleaning the area. I say, no, that's not belonging to this area. I'm taking it out. That's not okay. Or, no, we're gonna be objective, first of all. Then, we're gonna think over, let's say, my perspective. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, beat the women, or strike, whatsoever. I believe that. Not a Muslim, not as a Muslim, but as an audience, as an addressee of a Quran. I see that. As a person can understand this language. As a person who is not bigot, okay, based, looking at it, I see that. Cut the hand. Some people are saying, cut the hand is not cutting off, the imputing, but just, for example, taking a gillette or something like that and just putting a scar. That's a cutting. Okay, is that a game? I put a scar here. And he's escaping from the punishment. Is that a game? Is it a marhama or rahma or is it compassion? Or no, please understand what he was saying. But after putting the whole picture, you can think over that situation. Actually, the fifth, the camp 4 or 5, I don't know. The historicity. Historicism. They are saying that, yeah, Quran said, cut the hands, beat the wife, and so on. But all these practices, all these orders or prohibitions are mainly connected with the historical context that these things came out. Okay? That's the historicity. But the problem of historicity is that where is the end? Where is the limit that you're gonna put your feet on the brake? So maybe one will say, even the zina is a historical stuff because of there was some insecurity issues and in terms of the contraception and so on. Okay, and in terms of covering your body, okay, one will say there isn't sunshine and there isn't some bad man who has have some evil intention and so on, because the interpretation has no limit. Okay, so actually we are now faced with this spectrum. Actually, when I see somebody, I don't see at his person not Ash'ari suku, not something, not Hanafi, but one of these 4 or 5 approaches. Instead of that 4 madhab, we have another kind of 4 madhab, which is more contemporary and more practical. Actually, as a scholar or the people who are concerned about Islam and all these issues, we have to be realistic. Even if I'm not approving and confirming this reality, but realistic, that does not mean that you're approving, okay? Or you're confirming that reality, but talking out of reality. Okay, I know that. What is the romanticism? Romanticism is just living on the dream and history and so on. No. Of course, romanticism is good in terms of you are connected, your heart and your mind is connected with all these references. But in terms of everyday life, you have a son at home, he's going some places, and there are some movements, there are some speech, there are some discourse. Okay, so it is much more realistic for me. In terms of fatwa, now let me make my last point. So what is the fatwa issue, or how is the fatwa issue is being affected by these 4 different camps? I see I'm gonna facilitate all these fuzzy areas into 3 camps. The first one is kind of like a traditionalist wing in the fatwa, or super traditionalist wing. We see sometimes bigotry in their attitudes, sometimes intolerance. Sometimes like fear or hatred against being other. Okay, so in order to preserve their position, sometimes this extra sensitivity can lead to kind of like a bigotry. It's dangerous. I'm not talking about absolute things, but risks just. Okay. The second thing maybe sect fanaticism. Actually, it's good that you have a tradition, and tradition is very important. Even in the philosophy, Marxism and naturalism and so on, those people who are famous for their free thinking, even those the philosophers, are belonging to one specific tradition, right? You're saying this man is a rationalist, this man is a spiritualist, and so on. But if you take the people and if you force them to follow your very strict understanding, actually, in terms of my personal understanding, very personal understanding, I'm saying I'm wearing like that, I'm doing like that, my son will be like this. Okay, but you're asking to me a question, and coming from your area, your surrounding, without knowing anything about your reality, if impose my reality on you, my madhab on you, it's dangerous. In the Quranic revolution, there was like 23 years. In Russia, for example, half of the population, young, are drinking vodka. Vodka in alcoholic drinks, yeah. So you are going to Russia, for example, or you are faced with a new Muslim coming from Russia. Are you going to apply all the details of Islam upon him? Or you're going to go gradually, step by step? Tadrijiyan. It's so important. So usul al-fatwa must be connected with usul al-da'wah. Now usul, if you say there's a law, you're going to apply this. If you're a citizen, every citizen has to apply this one. But the da'wah is not working like that. Maybe another problem, as I said, madhab fanaticism. Yaqut al-Hamawi. You know this guy? Yaqut al-Hamawi is an historian. He is originally a Hama-based scholar. He lived, I think, in the 7th century of Islam. Okay. And time that the Mongol invasion happened. And while he was living, I think, in Baghdad, he heard about the Mongols or Tatar. This term is changing. Mongols, I know the Mongol. Hulagu and so on. When he heard about their invasion, he sought for a safe place for himself. As a scholar, maybe he was not so young for fighting and so on. And when he saw that Baghdad is under danger, he went to Ray, Medinat al-Ray, the city of Ray, which is located in today's Iran now. And Ray, according to his description, was the second biggest city around that area, full of knowledge and madrasas and ulama and so on. He says, when I arrived at the place, I saw that it was devastated, rampaged, or what's this, ravaged? Something like that, another word. Okay, devastated and demolished. I thought maybe those Tatar or those Mongols came over to that area as well. Their invasion extended to that area. I didn't know that. And I asked a wise guy, سألت أحد أقلائها. I asked what happened to a wise guy from the people of the Medina, the city, and he told me that. No, not the Tatar came over here, but we were here, 3 community, Shia, which was Sawad al-A'zam, which is the majority of the population. The second one, the Sunnah. So there وقع بينهما خصومة. That happened between two, like fighting and dispute and so on. Actually, even if the Shia was the majority, the Sunnah defeated them. No one from Shia left alive, except for maybe the elderly people or some other people that we don't know. Okay. No need to mention, that's just very few people. And after that, Sunnah people were 2 groups, Hanafis and Shafi'is. And Hanafis was majority, and the Sunnah and the Shafi'is were minority. But although, in spite of this disbalanced number or occupancy or so on, the Shafi'i people defeated the Hanafis. And the Shafi'i people used to live in that neighborhood, that district, called Al-Mahallatu Shafi'iyya, such a district, a small. They are still living there, but the rest of the city now empty, like this, kharaban. Imagine, in a time that the Muslim lands under the threat, under the attack, actually it was very first one maybe that the Muslim lands undergone or underwent an occupation by the assault by the foreign forces, but the Muslims are just fighting. Yeah, I was doing a khutbah sermon on Jum'ah. I thought about this issue and I asked that question: what is the difference now? What changed? Muslim lands under attack, Iraq and so on, but Muslims are killing them each other. Actually, in the fatwa, and in this process, some person should give a fatwa that you can kill this guy, right? Because they believe in God, and they kill each other on behalf of their religion, and they don't see any problem with that. So the fatwa is must be very must be given in a very cold blood. Cold blood. And the war of Bosnia, a lot of women were raped, So you're giving a fatwa. Before this section, all the fatwa institutions are saying abortion is haram. Abortion is haram. Why? Because that the small living creature has its right to survive, because his life was given by God. No matter what happened, maybe they were Christians, the mom or parents, or believers or non-believers, the man was drunk or woman, I don't know. But after it was formated in the womb of the woman, that's not your property. And the life of this creature directed by God, by Allah. That's impressively good answer. But in terms of the rape victims, some people are saying, no, you can do abortion. Why? Because there's non-believers. Okay, I know that. Non-believers raped. I know that. If you can take them down, the small babies, for example, like 3 months or 4 months or 2 months, you can do the same thing for the babies like 6 months in their mom's womb, because the reason is out there, the same reason, because this is a fruit of rape. 6 months. Actually, another reason, this baby, 6 months, is a real man or human being. It comes to the end. But the other one, maybe 3 weeks or somebody, maybe he will, it's weak. Maybe he will lose life by itself or herself. So this is bearing the risks that you're talking about now. In fact, such a man was created by a rapist. Actually, what my perspective will be, I know that it is a very bad situation. That happened to everybody. And you're asked, what about if your mom or sister undergo or face such a situation? Actually, they maybe try to make situation more sensational and so on, but I have to keep myself calm, right? Please, I'm gonna apply the principles. I know the situation is tough. If we are taking care of the life is the sacred one, okay? Please, maybe that woman cannot raise this baby, but the state or the Muslim community, okay, can take this man, raise him, okay, teach him. In the history of Islam, I think, I'm not sure about the name, but I remember something, but if I'm wrong, because it's recorded, so I'm not giving the name. One Sahaba, or Sahabi, which is a single person, one Sahabi was a wali, like a governor of city, maybe in Egypt. One person who is disliking him sent another poor guy to the governor while he was passing by the crowd on his horse, sent him and said, go and ask the governor who is his father. Who is his father? Because this Sahabi he didn't have a known, I'm lost. Yeah. I think that's what I remember. And actually, he said on the horse, brothers and sisters, I'm Fulan. But in the Jahiliyyah, there was such a practice. I'm son of such a woman, but I'm not a governor. Okay? So these lessons are very important. So we are listening such an sentence that we have to show our reaction. No, reaction is not a good thing. Reaction is not good. In Turkish we say, if you come up with anger, you will sit back with like a with like a sorrow kind of, okay? The reaction is not good. So you have to have a position, okay? Position is important. Yeah, position is such a thing that you had prior the thing that you are giving your action or reaction. I had it, something happened, I'm continuing my position in prior and after and post. So that's so important. Actually, let me come another risks of this super traditionalist approaches, literalism, the extreme literal, because the literalism is that you don't want to take risk by thinking, and you're saying it's written like this. I'm just zero. The text is 100%. I'm just not agent, not addressee, not. Okay, the literalism is another risk. Actually, excessive usage of sadd al-zari'a. Sadd al-zari'a is what the sadd al-zari'a? Sadd is sadd, you know, the block. Zari'a is a means. Sometimes you see that there is some legal things, very permissible things, that can lead you some impermissible, unlawful things. So you are blocking and putting a ban on that very permissible things. And very good example on that is and what we found in the books. You want to sell out your grapes. Okay, you're a farmer. You raised very beautiful grapes, and you want to sell it out. But in the area, there is only one person who is producing wine. And you know that if I buy or sell these grapes, they will definitely be wine. Okay? So in this point, the risk is so clear and very prospect. Yeah, there is it. And you are saying, as a scholar, you cannot sell your grape to that person. But he will say, maybe, I'm grabbing money in exchange of grapes. So grapes is halal, money is halal. Yeah, I'm not relevant to his activities or commercial activities. Yeah, but the scholars are saying no. Actually, another very popular example to excessive usage of this one. In some countries, they are putting a ban on the driving of women, for example. I read a report made by a scholar, okay, to respond insisting answers or the questions. Why? The questions are coming from some Western countries, and this scholar prepared a report, an academic report, and he's saying, and he's giving some examples, and he says, there may happen some disagreements between men and women, daytime or at night, and women may prefer to leave the house for his or her parents' home at night, at dark, and she will use the car. Maybe there might be a breakdown of the car, and she comes out of the car. Maybe in the end of the story, maybe she might be raped. With the support of imagination, that's very possible. But that's actually this is a actually policy that you're applying. You can use it in a very beneficial way, or to restrict the freedom of the people. Sadd al-zari'a or fath al-zari'a is a very important issue that requires a long take. Another camp, the excessively facilitating approach. They are facilitating everything. Everything goes in, no problem. Actually, these scholars are using the principles of maslaha or necessity or darura in an unjustified way. Okay, maslaha is okay. What about riba? There is a maslaha, go. What about this? There is a maslaha, go. There is maybe maslaha. So actually this excessive excessively facilitating approaches has its own dangers. They are working with rukhsas all the time. The rukhsa is two types. The first rukhsa is the shar'i rukhsat. The shar'i rukhsa is the rukhsas, the permission that was given by the shara itself. For example, you can cut down the prayer from 4 to 2 units during the travel and journey and so on. And this rukhsa was given to you by the religion itself. Another rukhsa is you are looking around the madhabs and you are picking the most easy things. And you are making a configuration, new configuration, that no scholar came up with. Okay, it's new salad, okay? You can give your name to the salad if you want. That's my salad. So this is called talfiq. Talfiq, actually, what's the limit of talfiq? There is a deep debate on it. Muhammad Rashid Rida and prior to him Muhammad Abduh actually started such an approach in Muslim world, and they said talfiq is okay. Okay, so their purpose was that they saw the Muslim people are stuck in the tradition and the traditions, madhabs, and so on. I think their intention was good, but we have to talk about the limits or limitations of or the boundaries of the talfiq and rukhsa. Yeah, actually, there are a lot of topics that we can talk about, but let me finish. And I can hear your questions or remarks. Yeah, your turn.